Okay, so let's talk about Governor Kathy Hochul's budget. Obviously, she really wants, despite the fact she's saying she wants to help us, this is what she really thinks of people like me. Take him to New Jersey. Take all of us. Take them to New Jersey. It's pretty much the way she feels about the lower incomes, the disabled, and the minorities. Despite the fact that this seems to be, what is left out of this? This is her budget right now. What is left out? Is there anything about discrimination in here? Fighting discrimination? There's nothing about fighting discrimination in here. And discrimination is out of control in New York, but there's nothing about it. So we're going to go over this executive budget here, and we're going to just go over a few things here in this budget because there are things that have been left out, obviously. They're talking about the pandemic, restoring faith in government, and let's go to the mental hygiene section, which is 124. All right. So this is the mental hygiene section here, and we're going to talk about mental hygiene. All right. Now, this sounds like a good thing, but yet there's nothing about discrimination here. There's nothing about ensuring that people with mental disabilities, such as myself, can live in a safe community. There's nothing about that here. So, talk about prioritize vaccination for people with the pandemic. OMH launched a wide variety of initiatives. All right. Allowing the public mental health system, OASIS, innovative methods to ensure critical services remain available to New Yorkers with substance abuse. Telehealth. There's a lot about telehealth here. Trust me. I've been dealing with telehealth now for almost the past 2 years. I haven't been able to see my therapist in person, and it sucks. It sucks. Telehealth was rapidly expanded. All right, but it still doesn't replace seeing someone in person. All right. Enhanced funding will support in the OMH. Didn't we just read this already? Caring for New York's most vulnerable citizens. So she acts like she actually cares about us in this. She acts like she actually cares about us, including a 5.4% cost of living adjustment. I know I'm doing it in order of different things here, but these are the issues that are important to me, so that's what I'm looking at here, all right, on this budget, all right? Expands community-based care, strengthens the oversight of services for supporting people, to support continue investments in new service opportunities, commit an additional $15 million to develop housing. That sounds like a lot of money, but it's not. It's not $15 million, all right? They say they've invested $95 million to develop safe and accessible residential opportunities, housing subsidy enhancements. So more people have housing subsidy, restore room and board subsidy, expand crisis services. OPWDD to managed care. There's a bunch of different things in here, but it doesn't really talk about discrimination against the mentally ill. And there is so much discrimination against us. Increased support for existing residential support. All right, so an additional $104 million to existing community base. That's good. So they want to enhance this is part of what I'm in. All right. So that's like I said. There's some good with this. It sounds like there's some good. But there's no discussion about the discrimination and the fact that the agencies are still like not getting funded properly. All right. So talking about these things, these are some of the funding increases, I guess. Funding OMH. So there is an increase in funding for some of these things, which is good. And there's also transportation increase. So she talks about public safety. So this is public safety. This is the next thing. Taking a strong stand against gun violence. And again, targeting the guns. And same thing with the mayor now in the city. These lunatics, these violent people don't need guns to kill people. Yes, they shouldn't be able to get guns. I agree. Illegal guns, something needs to be done about it, but that's not the solution for everything. Because there's still violent people who are going to find other ways to cause harm to innocent people. Like what happened in Times Square with that guy with the long rap sheet. He had a long rap sheet, that guy who pushed that woman to her death. Long rap sheet. Ex-con, everything. Why was he out on the streets? He didn't need a gun to kill her. So again, a lot of this has to do with gun violence. Education and job skills for incarcerated individuals, responding to the pandemic, ensuring equity and safety. Right. Equity and safety. Right. I don't believe that for 1 minute. You got to repeal bail reform. That's what you got to do. All right. So let's go over. We're going to go back to the top of this here. And, oh boy, I got to go back to the page number 1 here. This might be frozen. Oh, here we go. All right. And let's go and look at let's look at transportation here. All right. Transportation, I guess that would be 148. There's nothing about discrimination in here. We'll also look at the environment too. So 80 and 148. So let's go to 148 here. I should have just clicked it. It'll take me right there. Transportation. All right. So they're going to talk about funding increasing. Because when I hear the word reimagining the MTA, it makes me think of a redesign, which obviously is not a good thing. We've seen how disastrous those bus redesigns are. All right. They're talking about all the projects here. Talking about the third track. Which he still claims will get done by the end of the year. I don't know. It seems like, I mean, I'll show you Mineola. It's like they got a ways to go to fix it, to get to do everything. All right. Investing in transportation, the MTA will receive $6.6 billion in state operating aid, and that is an increase of over 24%. That's very good. Upstate will receive an increase of 13%. Downstate systems will receive $471 million, a 36% increase per system. So if Nice Bus is getting a 36%, and Suffolk County is getting a 36% increase in STOA, that would STOA, State Transit Operating Systems, that would really help to bring back a lot of hopefully all the cuts that have been made over the years. All right. So, like I said, there is some good here. It's a mix of good and bad, but I just feel that there's a lot of stuff left out when it comes to discrimination, and that's very important. All right, let's go back to page 1 here, and we'll find the other one we were meant to look for, which is the environment, because there's also stuff that's left out of here. And, of course, still don't know the exact numbers, but according to that information right there, it would be a big STOA increase. And it needs to be done, especially since the state got a lot of money from the federal government. That needs to go into STOA. All right, so now let's go to the environment, which is page 80. It's kind of bunched in with a whole bunch of other stuff here, but let's take a look at this and see. Because they talk about the parks, and they talk about... They talk about the parks, leading the nation. I'm gonna pause this if you want here. In addition to taking action on the climate crisis, protect, preserve, but there's no real mention of the Pine Barrens here. The Pine Barrens aren't even mentioned in here, unfortunately. And that, again, you left something out. They really left... look at that. That's all there is for the environment. That's back to general government. Very little on the environment at all. Very little. So it's obvious she's not really interested in improving the Pine Barrens at all, one bit. So it's obvious she doesn't really care about the Pine Barrens at all because they're not even mentioned. It's just, I'm disappointed that things that are left out. There's some good things in this budget, but there's a lot of stuff that's left out. And it, again, just shows... it just shows that, let me go back over here. Where is it? Here it is. It just shows, again, how, I mean, literally, look at how, that's all there is to it. That's all there is to the environment. That's it. And there's nothing about the Pine Barrens in here. So the funding for enhancing and improving our state parks. But we need new state parks. We need to do something about buying up the land in the Pine Barrens so it doesn't get developed. But, it just shows her inexperience. It really does. And that's why I made this video, just to point out a little bit, just a little briefing talking about, talks about, what about infrastructure too? Like the power grid. Let's go to that. Let's go to one. Let's see, power grid here. Infrastructure. What would that would even be? General government energy. So I guess that would be there. She doesn't talk about anything like fixing the power grid. There's a lot of stuff left out of this. I'm telling you, there's a lot of stuff left out of this. Way too much on the pandemic. So there you go. I'll put the link below. So this is a very short video, just showing you a couple of things of this budget. You can look at it. Let me know what you think. There's some good things in here. I'm encouraged with the transportation funding, but we all know that there's a lot missing, and that we're going to have to really look at this and see, and maybe the state legislature needs to add some stuff in here regarding discrimination, because there's nothing about fixing discrimination here. And discrimination is a huge problem in this state. And it's forcing, she says that she doesn't want people leaving New York, but there's tremendous discrimination, and people are leaving because they can't afford it anymore. They can't afford a good quality of life simply because of the demographic they're in, because they're not a certain demographic. So, anyway, those are my thoughts on the budget. Just my thoughts on it. Not a thorough review at all. If you want to look at it, link is in the description below. You can look at the whole thing and let me know what you think. But anyway, that is going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching.